Hey everybody, this is Ashley with Publish with Ashley, and I am live here with you today to talk about one of my favorite things, which is Amazon ads. And why I'm really into Amazon ads is because I think Amazon advertising is one of the best, or one of the most time cost-effective methods to multiply your business. If one of the things you need to do to get your books purchased is to be seen. Amazon ads is like the perfect way to do that. But they're as amazing as Amazon ads are, of course, they are frustrating, complex, and they are definitely not for the faint of heart or for those who aren't willing to put some effort in. You can do what I always like to call the easy button, but I don't think the easy button is always the most effective. It can be somewhat effective, but not necessarily the most effective. So today we are going to be talking about where I like to get my Amazon ads placed. And if you like topics like this, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I am happy to share what I know with you guys. One of the other announcements I have before I start is Julie Kaufman is doing a course on full color books, and it's in 2 weeks. It's a kind of dripped course, and in 2 weeks you can have a book out, and it's all about full color profits, which I think is awesome. I'm signed up, I'm ready, I'm excited. And if you get her course, the note the link is in the show notes below in my course in my description. If you get it through my link, then I'm actually doing a live another advertising course, basically bonus, live on the 29th of November for those who purchase it through my link. So if you kind of like how I do ads or something like that and you're interested in the course, then try to get it through my affiliate link so you can get something extra. All right, so good morning, Chrisinia, maybe? That sounds really pretty either way. So let's talk about Amazon ads. I've got a few things. I'm going to share my screen with you here, but I'm really excited about this topic because I think Amazon ads are kind of a mystery, and it's because they do take a lot of experimentation, time, and willingness to be wrong. There's just so much to learn that it's hard to know everything from the start, and some of it you honestly have to learn from experience. But what I can give you is some shortcuts and some ideas and some thoughts, and these kind of will maybe help grow your process, or at least maybe shortcut it a little bit. So let's talk about, let me share my screen right here. Okay, let me add to stream. Okay, so what I've done is I'm on the Amazon page, and I typed in some innocuous thing. Mine was Christmas activity books for kids. Let's say you have a Christmas activity book for kids and you want to advertise it. So one of the first things I do, which you've probably already done if you're in a certain niche, is type in that into Amazon and see what comes up. Okay, but I'm going to kind of show you where I like to be placed. So if I had a Christmas activity book for kids, I would want to be placed on one of these pages. Now, do try and change up your keyword long tail phrases, maybe Christmas activity books for toddlers or for kids, 5 to 8, whatever your book is, and makes sense that would be in the keywords of your book, long tail free words this is something you kind of want to go through each time, and go through those different processes to get more. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a sec. So one of my favorite places is what I like to do is look and see what is, coming up. I kind of disregard the ones that are sponsored a little bit just because they are ads themselves. So it's not that they're bad examples. They're just not kind of what I'm looking for. So here I've actually come down, and this one down here is in 9,000. And it's Christmas activity books for kids. It's actually got a really cute cover, ages 4 to 8. And it's got, it's got a good ranking. It's something would definitely be kind of, my wheelhouse if I had a book in this, and it's not a sponsored ad. So what I do is I click on that. So I'm just going to go, I've already pre-clicked on it here. So you don't have to watch my live thinking circle. But I clicked on it, and, the Christmas activity book for kids. So what I do is, here's where I love to be. So this is where I love my ads to be placed, is once you think of the customer, right? The customer has now clicked on this I'm kind of thinking as a customer now instead of the user. Once I've clicked on this, I've decided, yes, this is a book that I'm interested in purchasing in. And there's a reason, see down here, frequently bought together. There's a reason Amazon has this, because they know that if they offer this, it is likely if they're in a hurry or a hurried shopper, or they just don't know, they're like, oh yeah, this looks good, I'll just add all three. Or it also catches the eye to say, oh, I do want this one, and this one over here looks good, I would be interested in that. So ultimately, my goal when I try and advertise is to be someone else on this listing. So to be, this book, right, is the one we're looking at, and I want to be this book or this book. Well, how do I get to be those books? Now, as it says, these are often purchased together. So often people buy those things in their cart. Well, how can I get in front of the same consumer who is purchasing it? Well, the best way, yes, you can be on that first page right here, right? But there's a lot of going on this page, right? There's a lot of stuff. So this is, the consumer looks at this, but once they've actually clicked over to a particular book, now they're in the mindset to buy, and they really want to purchase something. So why I like to be on this page is a few reasons. One, it is less cluttered, right? My book will stand out from everybody else's. If I get to a point where Amazon, I've had enough purchases with a certain type of book, they're going to recommend it. So that's like free advertising. But how do you get on those pages? It's down here. So they have, it, there, this often sponsored too. What they're trying to, want to get your advertisement on this page. This one right here, see, sponsored page. This is another awesome place to be, right? So you want to be on this page. The nice thing about being on this page is it's cheaper to get on this page, be more focused type ad. It is also, there's just less clutter, right? It's seen more by the customer. You're not competing with all the other things on there. And that's why I like to get on this. So when I focus my advertising campaigns, I try and get on product pages. And I know I've said that in the past, but I really wanted to show you the different places you want to be. This is ultimately my goal, right? To get right there. But there's here, sometimes you end up here if you've been searching those types of books. You'll end up there, and then down here as well. And sometimes they'll have another sponsored, it comes up just differently. No one is apparently probably advertising particularly for this book because there'll be a sponsored one too. Okay, so that is what they call a product advertisement. And there's a few ways to get on this page. The two ways are manual, okay, and manual. One is the product product ad, and one is the keyword ad. So you would manually put in keywords, which means you would put in author names and titles of books to be particularly on this page. Now, I know you're thinking probably the consumer is not looking for activity slayer. That's probably a true statement, but the Amazon algorithm is going to try and match that keyword when it shows up on this page. Because remember, your author name is one of your 3 key words, because your title are your most important, your subtitle, and your author name, right? That's one of the reasons that author name, they're really protective of that author name so that you don't have keywords in it, because it kind of screws up how their algorithm works. Generally, if I'm looking for, let's say, a romance author like Nora Roberts, that's a very key word. If I type in Nora Roberts, I want a Nora Roberts book. So it's one of the reasons they're very protective of that, because they think of it as a term that users might search for. Now, in your case, activity slayer probably isn't something that customers are searching for, but the Amazon ad algorithm still would relate this to this product. So you could use basically the names and titles of books and also the author names. Well, how do you get some of those books? you look on the first page when I typed activity book. You can also look at anything that Amazon is suggesting for that buyer, because if Amazon's suggesting these type things to that particular person on this page, it is often likely that they will purchase. Remember, the Amazon algorithm is, I don't want to say it's smarter than us, but they've had way more years to work on it than we have, right? And they know what the actual code that goes behind it, and they get the data of everybody purchasing. So they're pretty good at what they do. So you can look through and just click through and see what books, here. So you could advertise on this: paint by sticker for kids, Christmas coloring book for kids, My Big Christmas, Christmas coloring book for toddlers, best Christmas jokes ever, right? That's a good one. People might want to get a Christmas joke book and a Christmas coloring book for their kids. So you can find different title names and also the author names. This does take some time. So it's time consuming and hard to do. But that's one of the reasons I actually purchased Publisher Rocket. So you don't need Publisher Rocket by any means. You could literally go through and do all this yourself and gather all those keywords and type them into a spreadsheet. But why I'm going to show you Publisher Rocket real quick. Oops, I got to move it over so you can see it. Okay, so one of the reasons I like Publisher Rocket is because I can do this. You go to the AMS keyword research. It's in the show notes if you're interested in the link of how to get here. It's a one-time payment, at least at the moment it is. And I just typed in Christmas activity book for kids, right? So it gives me a bunch of different titles. It gives me author names and some ISBNs. The ISBNs are what you would actually use for doing a product ad. So you could type in, or you can just drop in a list of ISBNs, and that will actually, for a product ad, take you to those ads, right? Because the ISBN is a unique identifier for that particular book. So that's one way you can do it. Okay, so what this does is, it has this lovely, great list, right? And then I could also try stuff instead of just Christmas activity book for kids. I can try Christmas activity book for toddlers, whatever other keyword phrases would make sense, and get a whole big list. And the nice thing is you can hit export here, and then you just hit export and save. And then let me just show you what comes up, because I don't want you having to watch it, think about it, putting it into an Excel file and then having to open the Excel file. But basically I exported it, I saved it, now I'm opened it on my computer, and it puts it into a nice sheet. So all you have to do is, let's see, I'm doing that product ad. I just highlight all those lovely ASINs and I hit Control C, right? And then I can copy paste them right into my ad. So that's one of the really powerful things I think about Publisher Rocket, is the lack of typing time and searching time. But don't get me wrong, you still want to go through and look. You want to curate this list too, right? Because some of these things may not make sense, and you would delete all the things that don't make sense. And it still doesn't hurt to go through a few different iterations of looking and saying, okay, this is a sponsored ad. They're paying to get on the first page of this keyword, but I can pay a lot less to get on the product page. So you're kind of like piggybacking off their advertising. It's one of my favorite things to do, because it's cheaper. It does take more time though. It takes more time to curate your list, to come up with your list and all that sort of stuff. But it is very, very, very effective, okay? If my goal is to get on the product page. All right, so hi, Becky. Thanks for being here. Does anyone have any questions? I'm surprised you only have 12 people today. I thought ads would be super exciting for people. But that's kind of what I do. Does anyone have any questions with that? Does that make sense? That I'm really trying, instead of being on this really kind of a whole bunch of stuff page, there's a lot on here, right, that captures people's attention. These ads are cool, but they're kind of expensive, right? And that's why I like to be, I guess, focused and effective in my ads, because that's a lot cheaper. But yeah, the real goal is to get on this page somewhere, whether it's in the sponsored, whether it's in these things that Amazon's pushing, or this one right here. There's ways to get on this page by focusing on getting on products. All right. Well, that's kind of what I have for today. If nobody has any questions, again, this if you are interested in this sort of thing, I'm actually doing a live course. If for anyone who gets Julie's, if you're just interested in learning about color profit books, I'm excited about Julie's course, and I'm going to do one specific to the types of books that we would create in that course. Do this sort of thing, go through and talk about, what type of words, do a publisher rocket search, basically do a kind of all the manual work and show people where they could put their products, at least where I think I would put my products to try and create, effective ads. Okay, let me stop sharing my screen and I'll answer some questions. Okay. Sonia says, I really like how you do that. It makes total sense. I've just never thought of it. Yeah, it is a different way to advertise. The whole idea of piggybacking off of somebody who's paying a whole lot of money. The thing that's cool about it too is you can do you don't cross product, meaning like if I had a great camping book, then I could actually put it on a really good selling camping product. So let's say people who camp, buy lights and they buy, camping stoves and they buy all sorts of things. I can actually put my book on their product page, and someone might be like, "Yeah, I'm getting a new. We're starting camping. We need the tent. We need this. We need this. And hey, here's this cool camping book. We need that too, right?" So this is a way to do something that is totally different. You might be the only book advertising against a different type of product. But what I'm thinking of is my customer, right? My customer might, if they're buying tents and pitchforks, tents and whatever else, lanterns, whatever else they're buying for camping, then they might be interested in buying a camping memory book, right? Or a camping logbook or whatever, right? So I'm thinking of my customer. My customer is into that sort of thing, and this sort of thing might be something they would be interested in too. And it's different, right? It's going to be different than the other things that are being advertised against that, and so that actually makes it stand out in a good way, not in a bad way, right? All right. Where would you list those ISBN numbers or the ASIN numbers? Okay, so when you go into a manual ad, there under the manual ads, there's two types of ads. There's keywords and product ads. In product ads, you just click on the product ad, and then it's you go down and it says add. You can pick from, but you can also manually add. So there's like when it says where do you want to pick from products? Yes, definitely go through their list of their suggested products and go, yep, add that one, add that one, add that one, do all that. But there's also a tab next to it that says enter your own manually, and you just copy and paste that list into the drop down. And the nice thing is what it'll do is if one of those ISBNs you've already added or something, it'll just kick it back and say, oh, I can't add this because it's been duplicated. So occasionally I'll get that where I've duplicated something. No big deal, right? You put it in once. Oh, Linda, let's see. No, Lydia, Linda. Thanks. I'm so glad you got to catch a live too. David, do you use author names as keywords? Yes, I do. For the manual ads keyword ones, I definitely use author names because it can get you on their page. Okay, so that's kind of the goal. Some of them are more effective, like anything. Some are more effective than others. That's what's wonderful and frustrating about advertising, because it is, hear me. Oh, there we go. The are persistent and also willing to what is working, why is it not working? No, you can't answer exactly what things are, but you experience comes into play. You notice patterns, and if you note of those patterns, write it down or if you're a data person, all the data. If you're more pattern noticer person, you just write down notes, and you start gaining experience. That's what's kind of frustrating about ads, because you have to do that. You have to slog through it, and you can't just say, why isn't it working? You can't just ask why it's not working, because they don't have all the data you have. So you have to kind of look and say, okay, why do I think this isn't working? Or if you're not really good at that, you can say, okay, what is working? Why is that working? You can go on the positive side too. Often, if you try enough things, you'll find out what is working. And eventually, maybe what isn't working will start to make sense as you do see those patterns. But that's that's what advertising is, and that's what's frustrating about advertising. But those who are persistent, willing to try and experiment and start small so that you're not spending a whole lot of money. I'm not a big believer in shoving a whole lot of money at something. I think you really need to think about what you're doing. Why are you doing it? Who are you focusing on? It's one of the reasons I like focusing on product ads and things like this, because this placement makes you think about what you're doing and why you were doing it. And just doing that alone is going to put you ahead of all the people who are clicking the easy button or auto campaign or everything like that. This is going to put you ahead because you are focusing on trying to give the customer the right customer your book, right? You're trying to deliver it to the correct person. That alone is going to set you apart. And because you're willing to do kind of that manual work on it, it's going to be cheaper for you. All right, let's see. Yes, literally you have to go back and watch from the start. There's some really key things in here, but it's definitely a different way to look at advertising, but it's the way I like to do my advertising because I do think it is one of the most cost-effective methods. And like I said, I think it is because you're doing some of the work, you're considering who your customer is, you're considering the type of books they're buying. So you're just getting in front of the right person in a better way. And I think that alone is really going to hone your skills and your advertising skills. And just, you're just going to get better results. It makes sense to me. It doesn't to maybe some people, but when I think about, I'm an analytical person, math, science, coding, all that sort of stuff. So it makes sense to me. Getting impressions, but where, okay, wait, let's see. Dave says getting impressions, but where to check for clicks. You may, so you can, it usually will say, that's usually one of the highlighted areas on your book or on your ads campaigns. It'll usually have like impressions, orders, clicks. But if it doesn't, you can add whatever columns you want. So there's like custom columns and you click on the customize and you can customize what columns you can see. I usually have up, really, I don't need that many. I have impressions, I have clicks, I have orders, I have ACOS and sales. I don't really need the sales, but it just makes me warm and fuzzy to see it. So the ACOS is actually more important because I know my numbers. I know for which books, and depending on my profit margin, I want to get my, right now, I just started some campaigns. I'm so excited. I'm down to like, and guys are going to die. I'm down to 4% ACOS, which I think is awesome. I was checking them the other day because I was really picky about what I wanted to do. And I did a manual ad that's very, very targeted. And I was hesitant because I did it at like 25 cents, which is kind of high for me. But I'm at 4% ACOS. So I think it's paying off. But it took me a while to figure out exactly what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. And not only that, I had some data from the previous year. So I took that data, analyzed it, what seemed to be working best, and I fine-tuned it for this year. So, but normally my ACOS, I try and keep no higher than 30%. I'm better off at 20. I keep it at 20. But right now, because of Christmas and higher sales, and I have a really focused 3 campaigns going along, and they're at like 4 or 5% ACOS. All right. So I was thinking to approach local retailers to stock my books. Have you done this? I have not, because it is a lot of work. If you think your book is going to sell in that area or that from those retailers, then maybe it's worthwhile to do. But for me, it seems like a lot of work to sell 2 or 3 books per month, because you're just not going to get in there. Now, I do know a few people who are fiction writers who got their books into Costco and Sam's Club, and they've done really well. But I think it's because they were fiction romance writers, And fiction romance sells really well in general, right? And if you can get in a retailer like a Costco or a Sam's Club, you might do really, really well. But it was a lot of work for them. I think it took them about 3-4 months of continually trying to find the right person. And it only ended up, first it was just 1 or 2 stores. Then Costco and Sam's Club took it to a region, like an area, not like across the whole US, but like kind of like a region of like a half state or something like that. And she did really, really well with that. But it did take her 3 to 4 months to get it working. Your best bet is independent bookstores, but it depends how snobby they are or not. Some don't like independent writers, right? And local retailers actually might be a better, like a tourist places, stuff like that. That might actually be a better place to look for, just because they're always looking for new and pretty things to put on their shelves. That might be actually worthwhile. Or if you know somebody, that might be good. All right, any other questions? I'm a big believer in push versus pull, right? I guess, or pulling them to me. I guess I'm a big believer in advertising is easier if you can come up with something that gets it out there to a larger area with minimal amount of effort. That's one of the reasons I do like Amazon ads. It is you get to target it to the right person. And I think that's really important because it's easier. It still takes time. Don't get me wrong. It still takes time to learn it, to do it. But it's just, it gets it in front of the right person. And if you can get it in front of the right person, you're more likely to purchase than just shotgunning it out and hoping somebody gets it. Any other questions? I didn't get too many questions today. You guys don't have any other questions about ads? At least this time I've got a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm going to try and do some more ads information, just small targeted stuff, because I think there's just so much to learn. I don't even know how to describe it. There's a lot to learn. And I was thinking about it. And if you take it all in, it's really hard to learn at once. So you've got to chunk it up into smaller pieces. So I thought this might be something that would make sense. It's still a skill. This is still something you have to work at, but I thought it would make sense to people. All right. That's pretty much all I've got. Lydia says she's too new to know what to ask. Well, yeah, there's sometimes you just got to take it all in. But that's kind of all I have for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for asking questions, those who are live. And I will continue to come up with fun topics, but let me know if you guys have any topics you're interested in learning about. So yeah, that's about it for today. I will see you all next week. I'm going to try and do 2 videos a week. So look for something hopefully on Monday and Wednesday. Definitely Wednesday. I'm here live on Wednesdays. All right. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.